Good morning. My name is Miko Marsh, and Ms. Josette is including a link in there about where you can get free copies. So before I forget, this is You Don't Want Success, Demolishing Excuses Used to Prevent You from Achieving Your Goals. And in here, I talk about a variety of fears, but what we're dealing with today is specifically with writing fears. So things I want to address are fears writers have, um, why these shouldn't stop you, and things you can do to improve your confidence. So, one of the things that I've noticed that newbies um, are concerned about are things that actually experienced writers have. We have these same fears a lot of times. It's just that you're so new to the program and everything that's going on, you don't realize, these are common. You're thinking this is only something that I'm going through, how am I going to make it through? So one of the first things that people deal with is the question of, am I a real writer? Something dealing with something we call imposter syndrome. And um, oftentimes we experience this because we doubt our own abilities and talents due to do a task. And we convince ourselves that we did well on a project due to luck, or maybe there were some other people lacked options. Like if we're driving through town and we bought a pizza because there was nothing else open. Um, Typically, while food choices might be limited at your location, reading options usually aren't. When people choose your book, when they choose to read your article, when they've stopped and they've decided to read your blog, it's because they really looked for it. They're not just out somewhere walking down the street and say, oh my goodness, look, there's a book on the sidewalk. Well, let me pick that up. And it just happens to be yours. They're looking for specific topics. And when you, as an unknown writer, have someone you've never met purchase your book, it's because they saw something in your presentation or in your content that made them want it. It wasn't a fluke. Yeah. But what you can also do to help minimize this is interact with other writers who will help you during these times, because writing can be very isolating. So it's important to reach out and speak with others who can relate to your experience and help you get past these defeatist thoughts. The next biggest one people tend to worry about shortly after, how much is this going to cost? How much do I have to invest? Is, what if nobody buys my book? Will anybody buy it? Once I put it out there, well, yeah, sure they will. Once we know about it, it's like what happens is people get so excited and they get wrapped up and they're writing and writing and writing and editing and writing, and they put it together and then they put it out there and they let it sit. Okay, we tend to think if we write it, they will read it. And that's a Field of Dreams reference for those of y'all who've never seen the movie. Now, you can write the most heartwarming story ever penned in all of literary history, but until you make it public and give people a way to find it, we're not going to know about it. So that's the only thing that will make it gather dust. Now, there's a way to avoid falling into the abyss of obscurity. It's called marketing and advertising. Yes, I understand this is not what the average introvert wants to hear, but there are ways to tell people about your book without having to give speeches. You'll be fine. Then the next, one of the other big ones is, what if I can't write as well as insert your favorite author? Insert anybody. What if I can't write as well as this person? You probably can't. You want to know? You know why, right? You know why? Because the person that you're thinking about probably has 60 or more novels under his belt, and you just decided last week that you want to write. You can't compare your starting point to where this person is 20 and 30 years into their writing career. You don't have the same experience. You don't have the same know-how. You don't have the same information underneath your belt, and they've been growing as they do this. So don't compare where you are to this person, especially if you're not even in the same genre. Readers won't either, unless you ask them to. Many times readers will look to see if you have more than one book. And once you've gotten several titles out, they'll expect you to get better, and they'll look for growth in your writing. Now, it's only when you say stuff like, my book is a cross between Stephen King and Neil Gaiman. When you say stuff like that and you put those names out there, that's when readers are going to hold you to those superstar expectations that you created in your mind. But until you reach that status, just enjoy the journey. Copyright questions come up like this. What if somebody takes my topic or my title? Okay, well, you can't copyright a title. And there aren't but so many topics in the world, but a lot of them, a lot of the times you're going to want to talk about the same thing. So, don't worry about this one too much, because there's a good chance somebody will. But there's also a good chance that you'll take somebody else's title and write about topics they've already covered. Now, think back to English class. Remember when your teacher instructed the whole class to give a book report on what you were reading? It was like she probably really didn't need 60 different versions of what happened with Moby Dick, but those 60 different students presented what happened in their own unique voice. This is something that I've run into a couple of times with myself and others. For instance, I just knew Living with Jezebel was the perfect title for my story. And then after I published it, I discovered there's another book with the same title. Now, thankfully, I had already included a subtitle to help potential readers understand what I discuss in my book, because there are already books out there about narcissism and Queen Jezebel. And then later I found out that the other Living with Jezebel isn't even talking about the same issue I'm talking about. I understand it's a well-written book, is dealing with the woman's life operating a lighthouse or something. But same title, totally different topic. Whereas there are other books out there that have my similar topics, but they're not presented the way I present them. And you will find a lot of readers who will binge on the same topic just to get different authors' views. So, think about it. How many restaurants have you ever seen in your life? Now, how many of those are burger places? Now, how many of those restaurants serve hamburgers, fries, and a drink? Each of those has their own unique spin. They have their own flavor. They have their own style. And that's the same thing that happens when you write. You can present the same topic as somebody else, but what you bring to the reader is going to be presented differently than the next person because of your unique writing voice. So don't worry so much about trying to be new as trying to be uniquely you. What if people don't like my book? Now, this is one of those fears that keeps people from wanting to write anything or put it out there. They're like, what if people don't like it? It's a big one, but let me go ahead and put this out there. Even if you win every award possible for your book, you will still come across people who dislike it. And it's not necessarily a reflection on you, but it's something that you need to accept up front, and you're going to save yourself a lot of time and heartache. Think about it, because you don't like everything you read. So if you don't like everything you read, what would make you think that everybody that comes across your book is going to like what you read? They may just not like the way you present it. But what you need to understand is that there's a reader for every story, and it's your job to help your reader find your material. Of course, that goes back to marketing and advertising. You got to let people know you put it out there. Don't let what one person might not like keep you from producing a product that others will. What if I'm not good enough? Okay, what does that even mean? Good enough for what? Good enough to do what? By whose standards are you measuring yourself? Now, if this is something you plan on doing long term, you'll get better. In fact, when you look back down the line at your earlier writings, you're probably going to cringe because you've improved so much. The desire to do better will drive you to learn and practice more. Now, if there's something you know you need to improve, work on it. Get someone to help you learn. Don't make life complicated. Don't frustrate yourself wishing you could do something that you know you can fix, like strengthening your writing. There's plenty of free writing resources available. Just do the best you can at the time you can. So what I want to do is address the main fear that's underlying all of these excuses. You want your work to be perfect. I don't mean that you're satisfied with being good. You're not satisfied with even doing your best, even though you can't do better than your best at the time you're doing it. The problem is you want flawless, and that puts you in the position of experiencing something that we've called perfection paralysis. It means you can't start or finish a task because you worry that it won't be error-free. So what does perfection paralysis look like? Okay, that would be like somebody coming to me to ask little Johnny, or ask me to help little Johnny learn how to play the piano. Because I started playing the piano when I was 7. Okay, so I can play the piano, I can read music. I was accepted into Governor's Magnet School for piano. I've played gospel choirs, I've arranged music, I've written songs. So I do have some experience, but what it would look like is, even though I have the knowledge to teach him, I would then go take a class on how to work with elementary students. I would watch videos on how to set up a PowerPoint to show him what the letters are on the keys. I would put together a poster board and help him learn what they are here. Like, I am literally going out of my way to complicate stuff to the point where when I finally bring it to her, she's probably found another teacher because I've taken so long. You know, I have made this much more complicated than she needed. And she just wanted me to teach him where the letters fell on the keys. And I'm preparing to get him ready to be admitted to college or something. You know, so it's putting so much pressure on yourself that you never get the thing out that you need. And when you do that, you prevent the people who need your information, who need your book, you prevent them from having it. Basically, you're robbing them of that experience, and you're hurting yourself in the process. So shameless plug, I'm going to quote myself. You know, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are the reasons erasers were invented. Okay? You're not perfect, therefore you can't create a perfect document. However, you can always improve and correct yourself as you learn. People respect honesty and when you're willing to own your own mistakes. So there's more on perfectionism in the book. Get your copy. Like I said, there are some limited free copies available. Now, what can you do to get close to being error-free and build your confidence as a writer? Any guesses? There are multiple right answers to how you can improve your writing, how you can build your confidence. Okay, like I don't think I have anybody volunteering right now. Okay, first thing you can do is ask other authors for advice, and you can start today. 3 years ago, I attended my first Indie Author Day, and it happened to be through Slover. I met Toy, who will be speaking later. I also met representatives from the News Writing Center and got on their mailing list. You know, still brand new. Ask other authors what they do, what they learned, where they went, how they got past certain things. Attend workshops and conferences and writing groups to add more tools to your belt. I'll be offering more workshops. Hampton Roads Writers Conference, they just had a convergence in September. They usually have an annual event in September. The Muse Writing Centers, Romance Writers of America's local chapter. Sisters in Crime, they focus on mystery. They have Suffolk Mystery Writers Conference, Christopher Newport University. I believe Slover has write-ins at least once a month. So come out, interact with other writers, join a critique group or attend critique sessions. So this is different from a regular writing group because they're going to help by providing feedback. They're going to do more than just say, oh, wow, that sounds really nice. They're going to tell you what's working in your story and what isn't. Attend literary and arts events like open mics. Creativity stirs creativity. And most importantly, practice. Attending class isn't writing. Listening to lectures isn't writing. Wanting to write isn't writing. You can't be a better writer if you don't write. So get to it already. It's like you have to write and write a lot, And some things that you can do when you're writing is practice flash fiction or telling quick stories. Use your social media account to tell stories. It doesn't matter if only 3 people read it. You're putting yourself in a position to work on a skill while getting free feedback and can use it as a way to measure your growth. If you're on Facebook, take a few minutes and tell them about what happened when you went to the dentist. Tell them about what happened when you were driving down the street and the people that you saw. This will get you in the habit of making observations and paying attention to details. And think about the things that you like to read. Think about the things that you like to hear. Avoid the stuff that you don't like and put them in there and, see what kind of feedback you get. Sometimes they'll laugh. Sometimes they'll say you have too much time on your hands. But hey, it's like it's a way of improving on yourself. And sometimes, things will come to you in the middle of the night. So take notes on your phone. Keep a pen and pad by you. It's okay. I wake up oftentimes like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm on my phone because I've already turned off my computer. But what you want to do is keep in the habit of writing. In fact, it is currently November. So there is a program called NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. And this is where people all over the world have come together and decided that they're going to aim to write a book at 50,000 words at the end of the month. Now, you're 7 days late, but hey, get started where you get started. You don't have to aim for 50,000. You may aim for like 100 words a day. Whatever your personal goal is, find somebody else, an accountability partner to help you stick to it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be edited right now. The idea is to just get out there and write. And the more you write and the more you share and the more you interact with others, the more confident you're going to become. And before you know it, you're going to have multiple titles and you'll be helping the next person along. So I guess I went a little bit faster than I thought I would.
Plug for some of the things we've got going on. We have partnered with the Muse and we're doing a program called Right Now, which is actually doing some prompts and doing some quick paragraph or 2 paragraph writings. And that is this month on the Tuesday and then next month on the 3rd Tuesday because, Christmas and everything. And we also have a kid and teen version that happens on the 2nd Tuesday of the month. So if you have any children or friends who have children who are budding authors, that's a great thing. And I do have a NaNoWriMo display open. We are open at Slover, although in a limited capacity right now. So we do have a small browsing section and some displays. And I have a NaNoWriMo table up for this month. So if anybody feels like coming in and saying hello, you can check out that table that's got some books about the writing process.
What about prompts, actually? You would be surprised how many people have actually made a book from somebody's prompt. Sometimes, because oftentimes the prompts are meant to, stoke the fires in your mind just to get you started. But I attended a couple poetry workshops, and the prompts became poems that I read in other locations. You know, there were, in fact, I had another story that started just because I needed to switch my focus because one of my topics was so serious that, you know, everything I wrote after that was just, it was just, you know, down, you know, and I needed something to bring us all back up, bring myself back up. Like, okay, let me put myself back out of this little depressing section when I, you know, I thought about everything there. And um, sometimes a prompt can lead you to something else, or it can help you find information to fill in a gap on a story that you're already working on. So don't be afraid of prompts, and you know, understand that those are other tools that can assist you.
Yeah, I write alongside of the participants when we do right now, and having that time limit, you have, 10 minutes to write a couple times that push that is needed, where you don't have time to sit around and muse and think and get it too much in your head. You just have to write now. And sometimes great things can come from that.
That actually, we use those a lot of times. We call them sprint writing. Um, so if you have somebody else that you can pair up with, or when you go to those groups, sometimes it's actually better, or, you know, if you're Zooming or using a platform like this, it's like, okay, we're going to, like Ms. Josette was saying, we're going to have 10 minutes for this. And you just write. Because when you are home, and you say, okay, I've got this amount of time, but you're actually not telling yourself, I'm going to work and I'm going to write in this amount of time. You find yourself saying things like, ding, hey, my social media went off. Who sent me a message? It's like, okay, I'm getting back to the, hey, YouTube. Okay, that video looks funny. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna get back to my, hey, I didn't start dinner. Or hey, I need to start. And then you find that you lost 5 hours when when you when you get to these times where you're doing your writing sprints and you just dedicate that time to writing, you may find that you've written like 500 words in 30 minutes, and you've gotten more accomplished in that time frame because you're looking at it as a job. You're looking at it as, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on right now, versus just kind of having it out there with no time limit, because some people actually work better under a deadline. You find a lot of folks like myself, I did that in high school. I did better under pressure, closer to that. If I find I have like 3 months to get something done, I may not actually have most of my material until about 2 weeks before it's due, because that's when it's all starting to fold together for me. So that time frame actually helps me concentrate versus having an open time frame and then giving myself time to look at this and this and this and that. It's like, it's very easy to get distracted that way.
Absolutely, especially in this day and age. Does anyone have any questions or comments? She covered a lot of great ground in her presentation. And we do still have some time before we're on to the next author. So feel free, guys. This is your time to ask and get some feedback.
Also, another mention with the book, because like I said, it's a free download. I think I've limited to 15 people, so whoever gets it gets it. But in the book, I have included tips. I've given information dealing with everything from perfection paralysis to um, dealing with other people's opinions, um, you know, dealing with basically being the only person in a certain area working on things. I have also included interviews. I've interviewed 9 other professionals in various careers, from fine arts to finance. Um, and I think 7 of the people I featured, because one of them I used a poem from, 7 of them are from the Hampton Roads area. So some of them have included their contact information if you need to follow up with them on any products or services. So like the finance manager, if you're looking to him for things dealing with your investment and income and how to get yourself out of a jam, he may be able to assist you with that. I also have questions that you can put in, that you can answer for yourself, and action steps that you can take as of the moment you're reading it to help yourself work past whatever situation that you're addressing at that time. So it's kind of like a book and interviews and a workbook included. I like to congest it and try to get that information like right there.
Okay, we've got a comment. Thank you very much. I know imposter system and perfection paralysis well, so it's always great to be reminded not to let that take the reins.
Yeah, those yeah, those tend to be the ones that will drag us down. But I think one of the best moments is when you finished and you look back and you realize you have a whole complete work. That's like one of my favorite times. Like, I did it. I did it. And it's nice to hear back from other people, but then when you put it together, and if at all possible, because the first 2 I put out were ebooks, and it wasn't until about 4 years later that I did my first print book. And it wasn't until I actually printed it out and saw it in hand, even if it's an article or a blog, when you do your first piece, or something that you're really proud of, once you print it out and you hold it, there's something about having it tangible and seeing it in front of you that makes it more real versus just leaving it on ebook and out there in cyberspace. You just kind of disconnect from it. But when you're looking at it, you can look and you can think about the steps that you've taken and the work that you've done. And then you're saying, okay, all right, I can do this. I am doing it. I did it. Okay. This is this is actually real now. This is coming.
So we did have a couple questions come in. We have a question asking what you're working on right now.
Okay. Right now, I am putting together a series. So you want to write a book. So I have several workshops, and I'll be focusing on nonfiction, fiction, steps to getting there. I don't focus on marketing and advertising, but I'm working on helping you compile your book. So I'm dealing with like legal aspects, things to consider when you put it together. So if you email me, I can keep you updated as to when that's going to come together. Yeah, and I'll also be starting author coaching. I got picked up as a marketing and revisions editor, so I'll be starting that on Monday with a company. So I'll be able to assist people locally and virtually from other states through that company.
Awesome. Definitely put your email in the chat so that folks can get a hold of you. And then we had one other question. What are some steps toward publishing your work?
I would look into what you consider what's most important to you. Something like visibility or getting your information out. Are you going to work in write in multiple genres, or just in one? Are you going to work on just one book, or are you trying to put multiple out there? That's going to determine whether or not you're going to attempt to go the traditional route, if you're going to go hybrid, or if you're going to do it yourself. And like I said, I would, we have several people who are coming through. They'll be able to share their experiences also. I don't want to cut into anybody else's time, but definitely research.
And then we have more a helpful comment, but I write down a catchy opening hook and roll with it on little set plans to dodge many of these bullets. All right, so we do still have a couple more minutes. Did anyone else have any other questions or comments? And if not, Miko, any final thoughts you want to leave folks with?
No, get as much information as you can, particularly while it's free and online. You know, if necessary, go get the information and then go back and look. I find myself a lot of times I'll sign up, I'll get the information, and then I'll go back and read and listen to it again. And I learn from people who are in various genres. So you know, you can pick up writing tips from editors, from writers, even you can also practice just being out. If you're sitting at a restaurant and you're watching the people as they go by, you know, like start making up stories about what their home life might be like, or you know, what their day was like before they got here, why they have this expression on. You know, it'll start becoming more second nature to you.
That's excellent advice. I love people watching personally. All right. So, yep, we've got Miko put her email and her website in the chat. So if you would like to connect with her or learn a little bit more about who she is and her work, feel free to visit there. Again, we are recording these sessions, so this will be available for you to look back on as well if you aren't getting these things in right now.